Welcome, guys, to episode 4 of It's Not You, It's Me. Today, I've got a guest on called Apna Coach. We have been following each other on social media for quite some time now, and I really admire the work he does because, as you know, I focus on issues within the South Asian community. And to find a like-minded person of the opposite gender who's also doing that work is really exciting for me. So I've asked him to come on today so he can share some thoughts with us from a male perspective because I cover a lot of female perspective and I feel like we're missing that alignment in the middle. So would you like to give a little introduction for yourself, please, for the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Umar, and I run the account of Apna Coach. Yeah, so I mean, I went through my own stuff, depression, addiction, and I just felt like there wasn't enough support, um, taboo subjects that we don't really talk about, and so that's why I started doing what I do. I went to therapy myself, um, then became a qualified counselor, and now Alhamdulillah, I've been able to put out the same energy and help people go through whatever they're going through and need help with, or they might be too scared to talk about. Um, yeah, and then I started posting on TikTok, come across your content, and then I also thought that it'd be really good to collab, and because I thought some of the stuff that you were saying is not many people want to talk about stuff like this, and not many people want to show certain sides and not give the real truths.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see someone else like doing that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, me too, me too. I mean, even from our planning conversations, we know we're going to definitely need more than one.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
I got about 6 DMs in total with people sending me your profile saying, can you please collaborate with this product? And it was literally, it was on the fifth one that I messaged you. Remember, and I let you know that people are
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
asked to collab. And then once we agreed to collab, I got two more messages.
That's crazy. Because I used to see your content now and I was like, yeah, like it'd be really cool. And I was thinking about actually messaging you myself and be like, look, I like your work. Like, let's do something. Um, but you end up messaging me, so but yeah.
Yes, subhanAllah. When something's meant to be, it is meant to be. Like
Yeah.
nothing's a coincidence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think what struck me most about your work, and I'm going to dive straight in now to the heavy stuff, is the fact that the rarity of a South Asian Muslim man not only attending therapy, but being open to the idea of it and then promoting that concept afterwards. Like, it is so rare. It's literally needle in a haystack. And I know what I do is rare, but there's more of us. Women are more outspoken.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
Yeah, it's the men that are just not there. And when I make my content and I have quite strong opinions about, well, men are like this or this, and everyone's like, not everyone. And we're like, we know not everyone, but we're talking majorities.
Hmm.
And you yourself, as a man that has been to therapy and you're South Asian and Muslim, I mean, we need to delve into this. So, from your experience, what is the importance of attending therapy? What transition did you go through where you saw the benefits of this journey?
Well, I'll be honest, like I wasn't always like that. So I'll make a lot of videos, like you'll see my content, and a lot of it will talk about my story, what I've gone through. And like I was told I needed therapy, but I never believed it. I was in deep denial. But my views on therapy are so different now, hence why I do the work that I do.
Yeah.
I remember saying to my wife, like, I'm not crazy. I don't need therapy. I'm good. But I didn't realize the impact of whatever I was going through, like on my life, my relationships. Um, and I'll be honest, my first two therapists, they were enablers. Like they weren't really there to sort of give me a different perspective or really like try and get to the root of things. It was just like, okay, this is how you behave. Okay, cool. Not really telling me like how I could do things differently, not helping me get to the root of things. And it was only like when I hit rock bottom and my relationship was like on edge, like things were really bad, and I found a therapist who's actually qualified in the same sector as Gabor Mate, so compassionate inquiry, and that's the route that I went down. And yeah, my first session with him, like I cried for an hour and a half. Um, but I think like the importance of it, the fact that I went to these sessions and I knew from my first ones that yeah, I was just going paying money and not getting anything from the therapists. So that wasn't really benefiting me. But when I went to this other guy who actually sat, listened, then asked me when I was crying about, okay, like where do you feel this in your body? We did a lot of inner child healing. And that's when I realized like, okay, like this is amazing. Like that for me was life changing. And everything that he said to me about like after we had done the inner child healing, he said to me, look, today we've done really heavy work. He said, so when you go home, you're not going to want to do anything. You're going to feel fatigued. You're going to feel tired. So let your wife and your family know that, look, guys, I'm just not feeling it today. And he was absolutely right. I got home and I've never felt so drained.
Yeah.
I must like I had a really good like a really good night's sleep that night. Um, but that's because you're no longer in the fight or flight mode. You,
Yeah.
your body's starting to catch up. But and it's not just like relationships. Like it's absolutely everything. Like therapy will change. It changed my life like for the better. Like in all aspects of life, like work, you know, discipline. Just because you really start questioning everything, and I just think self-reflection is so important.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think one thing about therapy is in the South Asian community, it's really brushed over anyway. Like only nut jobs go to therapy. You know,
Yeah.
crazy people go and or people that can't handle their life. So it's like looked down upon. When actually the concept of therapy is, yeah, you're digging up ground that looks settled. It looks settled on top, and someone's going to tell you, go and dig that up over there. You're like, why would I do that? It's going to make me tired. It's going to make me dirty. It looked fine over there. So I don't get what you're trying to make me do.
Yeah.
Only when you dig up the first 3, 4 inches and you realize all that crap that's down there. And
Yeah, no, it's
the reason why that ground is not fertile.
I've
Because
never heard anyone put it into that perspective, but I like it.
yeah, yeah, because you're planting seeds and then wondering why nothing's happening, and then you're finally told to dig it up. And if you make that move to dig it up, which is basically therapy, you will find really the root causes. Excuse the pun, it's all going into one big fat metaphor here, but you will find the root causes to your issues. And it's only in ripping those bad roots out. You know, when we have weeds and you just cut the top off, you just give it a couple of weeks and it's back, but that extra effort to go down and really remove the root of it is so important. And I always say to my clients as well, like you have to pick your pain.
Mm,
Do you want? Do you want the pain of the quality of lifestyle you have now? Or get some blisters, get hot and heavy digging up that ground? Because at least that pain leads you to some kind of positive result.
yeah. It's you're right. Like, and there's always a choice and you can what they say is like you make hard choices and live an easy life, or you make easy choices and live a hard life.
Yeah,
Not digging up them roots and just sticking to, you know, whatever you're going through and just dealing with it the way that you used to, numbing it or whatever it might be,
yeah.
cause you pain later on down the line. It's going to be, impact your health and impact the body and all this kind of stuff. So you're absolutely right. You have to choose what kind of pain you want.
Yeah, it's interesting when you said about numbing, because a lot of the men and women in our community that don't go to therapy, they use drugs and alcohol to numb their pain.
Mhm.
Because where our particular community is Muslim, there's another layer of shame around that. So you've got shame on the therapy, shame on the numbing, shame on the issue, shame, 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 and you're lost in this shame hurricane. And we're kind of just taught to like sabr and brave face through it. And it actually cracks your soul in the end when you do that.
Of Of course. And I don't know if you saw this, but I made a video about spiritual bypassing. So I don't know if you know what that is.
No, no, explain it to us, please.
So spiritual bypassing is literally when you will just say like, oh yeah, like I have faith in God, but like you won't put any effort into anything. Or just saying, yeah, like I trust Allah's plan, but you're not going to therapy. Like just like saying, yeah, yeah, I believe in God. Like I'm not obviously, of course, Allah heals and you know, we know that. But Islam is a religion of effort. So you got to go put the effort in
That's
order.
right.
But people are just like, yeah, just go pray more. Yeah, but that's like I get that, but there's deeper issues than me just going to pray.
Yeah.
Like I have to understand what's going on, get to the root of it, and deal with it. But I think people are too scared to sit with that pain.
Yeah, they really are. Because I think, again, we're dealing with a lot of the nervous system and subconscious mind issues. So that your nervous system is going to take you to the hell you know, just so it can help you cope with it. It's not going to say, oh, go out into this completely unknown terrain. It's going to be like, nope, 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 nope. There's the cave. That's what we're used to. Let's go and sit in it.
That's true.
And that's why, I try to focus as much as I can and to educate myself in the Islamic psychology parts of it as well, because essentially you've got your nafs, which is your ego, and it's
Mhm.
heading downwards. And then you've got your qalb, and then you've got your ruh. So your qalb is in the middle of your ruh and your nafs.
Mhm.
Middle ground that's trying to help you navigate, like, no, you want to do that, and we can't do this, and you want to do this. So we need to appreciate that even though Western psychology gives us a lot of answers and we've been exposed to it, Islamic teachings have had the basic fundamentals of all these concepts written way before.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely.
And that inner struggle, subconscious mind, your soul, your heart, your mind, like all of that is covered, that the turmoil that you go through. But I think what I want to get at more for men is that, would you want, or do you think there would be a positive effect on society if more men went to therapy, even if it was in secret?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because you start looking at life a little bit differently. You start looking at people differently. You start looking at every situation differently.
Yeah.
'Cause I always say this as well that therapy is not where the work happens. It does happen in the sessions, but it doesn't, but it also has to happen outside of the sessions. So in between your therapy sessions, are you self-reflecting? Are you journaling? Are you assessing like every situation or like reflecting, okay, how can I handle that a bit better today? Like, okay, maybe I got angry at X, Y, and Z. How can I deal with that differently next time if it comes up again? Like, there's so many different things that will come from. I think the main thing is that you'll feel better in yourself
Mm.
because if you're used to being being in pain and being hurt and just like, yeah, it's fine, I can just get on with it, I'll get on with it. But if you heal them wounds, them cuts, because there's an inner child in there that is screaming to be looked after or screaming like just to be heard. And once you start nurturing that child and at every stage reparenting to let them know that like now at your age, you're there to help and support and be there for them, you'll be able
Mm.
to live a much more fulfilled life. And then when you look outwards on life, like you'll be able to excel so much more.
Yeah.
Have a different approach on everything.
It's like you've been wearing muddy glasses,
Yeah.
and just because you can see through a few little gaps, you're like, yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I can see where I'm going. And when you first start cleaning it, it smudges before it gets clean.
Mm.
And just like I always say to my clients, because I've been through quite a few years of therapy myself, and I agree with you, you have to find the right therapist that
Yeah.
can hit
100.
that spot with you. It's not just anyone. So it is trial and error. But that's one thing I've taken on from her teachings with my sessions, is I always tell my clients to make sure that they have time after each session, because this is not easy work. This is you stripping yourself in front of a mirror and then in front of your therapist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll never be the same again. You'll never be the same again. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never want to be the ignorant version of me that was walking around before.
100%.
I'd feel the pain of therapy every single time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to go through my experiences again. But I would definitely, yeah, I'd choose therapy every time. Uh,
Yeah, every time.
like I do wish I had done it earlier. Um, but it was Allah's plan. So and I had to do it now and well, recently, and be able to heal my wounds.
I see it as a positive thing because what I see is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes some really experienced people and then picks them out and transforms them. If you
Oh
if you don't have that experience of turmoil, addiction, partying, all the rest of it, which I'm sure people can use their imagination.
of course, yeah.
You don't have experience of that. How are you supposed to guide anyone else that's struggling with the temptations of that world if you're not of that world?
Yeah.
I, this is why people find it really hard to connect to certain Muslim therapists and coaches because everyone's all holier than thou. When actually it's the raw people like me and you that have literally, I mean, I don't know about you, but like I spent most of my teen years on road.
Okay.
So how was I supposed to ever help a teenager or a young person in their 20s that's dealing with
Yeah.
particular temptations if I hadn't been there myself?
Yeah, no, I hear that.
I know what,
One,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, sorry to cut you off. Go on, carry on, and I'll speak after. Okay.
No, but no, that's it. It's just I
Yeah.
feel like even though sometimes we say like, oh, it's really late. Well, was it, or is it in the right time for the right audience that we're trying to hit now?
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely, because when I look now and I think of the stuff that I've gone through and when I dealt with it and what I've gone through and what I've had to deal with, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. I wouldn't be able to guide others. I wouldn't be able to help on going through addiction. I wouldn't talk to people about healing the inner child. I wouldn't would be telling people go work on your relationships.
Yeah, and just pray.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other action, just pray.
Yeah, that's it. Just pray. Like, yeah, I was massively like when, like I said, like I just thought I don't need therapy. Like I don't need it. I'm good.
Yeah,
Um, but that's why I made a video and said like if people like wife and people tell you that you need therapy, they're probably right.
yeah.
They're
But
probably
that's
right.
when you tell someone that is not in the right place, they need therapy, that sends them further back into their hole. And
Yeah.
this is what I find really interesting because I really want to give the time of day and the appropriate amount of attention to the male experience
Hmm.
because I know my platform doesn't. But one thing I do acknowledge is that men are the leaders of society and they are not having the best time of it right now. That is leading to women resenting them and pushing back on their efforts even more. And it's
Can you
time both of us.
elaborate on that a bit for me when you said like having the best time with it? What do you mean by that?
I think there's a lot of pressure on men in society at the moment.
Okay.
Women, so there's a few different prongs to this. Okay, so we can put the financial element of it on one side because truly, people who ever thought that living in the West is going to make their whole lives a dream is a fool. Because a man could be working two full-time jobs and still not be able to make ends meet in this
Yeah.
day and age.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got that one side of it with their responsibilities. The other side is there's a confusion at the moment of what masculinity actually is. There's You've got your Andrew Tates coming at you, you've got your sheikhs coming at you, you've got everyone coming at you, telling
Yeah.
you what it is to be a man. And unfortunately, we're missing a huge element of that, which should actually be being taught in our homes. We should
Mhm.
actually be looking up to our fathers as the main example of what we should be. And I don't think we've had that because, especially as immigrant children, our fathers were out working 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
So when were we supposed to get that? And same with mothers. So I think there's confusing messaging and men, there's very low empathy levels for men in society right now. We don't, as women, feel sorry for you. We don't understand. We just want you to step up to the plate, be providers, be balanced, and be calm, be all wise, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying, but I think that also comes it's a I think it's a difficult conversation. Like I mean, like for me, like I think that provision is so much more than like financial. I think you have to provide that emotional space
Yeah,
for, like for your partner.
yeah.
Um, you have to, like be there in there, like in the time of need. You have to split like house duties and stuff like that. Like like things are different. Like but I don't know. I always say that for me, like your job as a man is to make your woman's life easier.
Yeah,
That's the way I see it.
yeah.
Um, but I understand like, and I've touched on this as well in some like with my clients and in some of my videos that if you haven't seen it growing up, you're not going to be able to like replicate it. So when you see like if a dad isn't like present and he's not taking care of his wife, that's when like the sons have to step in. And this is when I made the videos around like emotional incest and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and people were coming at me in the comments. But I think it was just what I was trying to say is that if a dad isn't fulfilling his husband duties, then the son has to step in and like that.
Well, this is where I find that men have been handicapped because nobody told men they had to be emotionally available. Not our South Asian men. We're told be stoic, earn money, don't be a girl, don't complain.
Don't cry because that's what girls do.
And then women, on the other hand, when we watch men being raised like this, we naturally have less empathy for them because the whole of society said to them, just get on with it. So just get on with it then.
Yeah.
So there's emotion, we're at war with one another. And actually, you know what we're both saying when you mentioned the inner child? Two adults raging at each other about their needs are two children holding their arms out like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
35, 40 years old, big and bulky, going, you don't make all it is a little child screaming, please try to understand me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear that. And I think it is tough because I think if you look at like when I if you look at how it's like some men will say, oh yeah, like women are just like the same, they're worse, like they're worse than us, or they want to live this lifestyle and Dubai bling and all this sort of stuff. But it's just like, okay, but as men, like it's our job to provide for our wives and look after our children. But I think like you can't. I thought do you know what? It's so. I've lost my. I'll be honest. Like I've lost my train. My train of thought. Just give me.
I find that level of thinking quite jarring because essentially, and this is an Islamic concept as well,
Yeah.
you have to look at what that girl already has, the lifestyle she currently lives.
Yeah.
If you can't give her that same lifestyle that she's currently living, instead of complaining, step up or step away.
And I hear that because the thing is, like, realistically, if her dad's given her everything, like, once she's married to you, you're her wali. So you have to do you got to match it.
But
You
we
got to do
live,
better.
but we live in a day and age as well where girls are getting a lot of their own.
What do you mean in the sense
As
of,
in, it's said about the type of lifestyle the father provides, right?
yeah,
But now women are also able to provide themselves with that level of lifestyle, if not more.
yeah, no, and I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand that. But I think that it also comes like to a point where you have to think like like why then? Like if not that women shouldn't work or they shouldn't be able to like live this lifestyle, but now if we want to talk about like masculine and like the masculinity and all this sort of stuff now, like if you look at masculine energy, feminine energy, masculine energy provides, feminine energy receives
Receive.
and gives out of appreciation.
Yeah.
So when you look at like daughters, like dads should will be providing whatever they can. And but if they feel like okay, they're not getting enough from their dads, then that's when they're like, okay, cool, like I need to go and
Or there might not even be a dad.
yeah, absolutely.
Because we forget that we in the day and age we live in, sometimes there isn't one. In my particular case, by the time I was 12, I knew that wasn't there. So I knew that I had to do for myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one else was going to.
But and again, like in the most respectful way, like so obviously you've had to be quite masculine in that sense to be able to go and provide for yourself and do X, Y, and Z.
That's right.
Now, when it comes to see, so when it comes to relationships, only one of you can be masculine.
Yeah, but that's a whole different scenario. Um, Women have more of an ability to fall into their feminine.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural for us to want to if the right.
100%. I agree. I agree.
But I also agree that there's a lot of women out there that don't know how to turn that masculine energy off. Now, personally, for me, there is a balance. You can't be masculine without having feminine energy. I can't be feminine without obtaining a certain element of masculine energy. It
Mm-hmm.
involves me understanding my counterpart too. But you have to have that level of intelligence of where you're switching this on and off.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
that earn and are in their masculine energy, they do find it harder to respect men because that man really has to be showing his worth above yours in order for us to feel like we want to show him any
Of
respect.
course. But then in terms of salary, his salary's got to be higher than yours as well, right? Because then if
See, I've had a couple of you touched on a nervy topic there. Soul connections look past all of these things.
no, but what I'm saying is
If you found someone,
if
yeah,
no, what I'm saying is you're saying that like that when you because you said that if like women are earning, then like that man is to be earning X amount, like to like so that you have like some sort of respect for him, right?
paper,
Pardon?
but that's on paper
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
could be walking down the street and meet the love of your like, you don't know.
Oh no, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you could be walking along, you meet the love of your life, but they're not in that place that you thought on paper my potential person could be. And then you have to assess your situation
Mhm.
by case. Because I genuinely feel that when there isn't that soul connection there, that's when women focus more on the, well, he better have this and he better have that, because she's trying to create a safe space for herself, but she doesn't actually love or connect with him. It's all material.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you watch a woman fall in love with a man that has nothing. Historically speaking, we have done that.
Yeah.
We've fought against our own fathers for a brokey. So, so it's for me, it's about the individual. Like, okay, I have done videos before. I did a video that went semi-viral of men that make their wives go to work, and everyone went ape shit. Like, how can you say that? That video was specifically about men that coerce and abuse their women to go to work.
Mm.
That was a video to do with men who take all their salary and send it back home to Pakistan, and yet push her to work and pay the mortgage. That's what that video was about.
Yeah.
That was about financial manipulation and coercion.
But
But
again, for me, like it's so weird because again, like lived experience is so different, right? So when I hear that, I'm like, that's that's crazy.
yeah,
Like my mum and dad had their own business. So
yeah,
my mum and dad, like they both worked in the same business. Like they ran it together. But I don't ever remember Like my dad, yeah, of course, obviously he would send money back home because like his family are there. But it was never like just the case of
Yeah.
like you don't get any money or this and that or whatever. Like so when I hear that, oh, like the like women are forced to go to work and because their husband wants to send the money back and then mortgages be paid. Like I haven't seen that growing up, so for me it's hard to hear.
I think that's why there's so much shouting and screaming on my page. It's not because I'm something special, it's because those topics are real.
Mm,
Nobody ever talks about them.
yeah, no,
It- it's such a sense of shame, like if you went out and told people, like my husband makes me go to it, you wouldn't say it. You just wouldn't say it like that. But there's so many cases of that. And when I think to myself, how much our community could benefit from a good therapy and coaching for a good solid year, we could change the next generations for the better.
oh, this is what I tell my clients. It takes one person to change the trajectory of your whole bloodline. One person. Because you're breaking them chains. You break that chain, you pass it down. Like I have clients that come to me and say, I want a better relationship with my son or my daughter. So, okay, cool. Like let's work on it. So whatever you sort of drill into them and help them understand and see the perspective, they'll pass that down to their children, and their children will pass it down to their children and their children and their children.
They'll one better it every time,
Absolutely.
and it's so powerful. I don't feel people have the self-esteem to understand the level of benefit they will have on their future generations by digging up their own Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Open that box, yeah, there's going to be monsters in there, there's going to be jinns in there. Probably the shaitan himself is going to be sitting in there like this, like, "Oh." And you just don't, you look at it like this dreaded thing in the corner, like, no, 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 don't open it. But the opening of it is your salvation and your liberation. It
Oh,
really
yeah.
is in there. And
It-
I know it may not seem like it on my social media, but the empathy I have for men is really high. I know how much they're struggling, and I know how much they're struggling because the lack of respect and understanding from women. Because deep down, I don't know if you agree with me, brother, as a man, give me your perspective.
Mhm.
I feel like deep down inside, all a man wants is a woman to understand him.
Yeah. Like you do want that sense of understanding. But like they say as well, like, like a man's key need is respect and a woman's key need is love. And if a man doesn't feel respected, he can't give the love. But if a woman doesn't feel love, she can't give the respect.
Fact. But if a woman's not loved, she can always love. She'll love anyway. That's so weird, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It is. But I think, yeah, of course, I mean, everyone deep down wants to be heard, understood, seen. But especially if that man is a wounded child, that child just wants to be seen.
it's funny because a wounded child acting out in an adult body is not something that induces respect from the other person.
It doesn't. It, do-
Yeah,
it doesn't. And this is why you need to be able to do the work and heal them.
because
Because
I found a lot with my clients. The men that want to change, they predominantly want mollycoddling. They don't want to do the hard work. They want to be told that they're understood by their wife, and then that's it, job done. Okay, thank you so much. Uh,
that's,
no,
that's not the way it works.
exactly right. It's like I want to pretend at doing this growth thing, but I don't want to do the digging up and the talking and the exposing of myself. And I've even said to certain clients, I said, you need to let your husband go to therapy on his own. You need to stay out of this journey because wives are like feet first
Yeah.
into. I'm like, what do you think? Do you agree with that? Women should give men the space and not be all in their.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Like, let him go. And if you need therapy, you go separately. Don't go to marriage counseling. Don't go together. Go separately and come back and be the best version of yourselves together.
Thank
That,
you.
that's what you want. Don't go to because You go into marriage counseling, he does this, she does that, you open up a whole new can of worms. Nah, just go separately.
Same, same. Facts.
That's
Facts.
it.
And the couple, when I noticed when I'm doing mediation, they're both bidding and vying for my side.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're like, no, I'm gonna tell you this so you can be on my side. I'm not on anyone's
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
I
No.
totally agree with you. Personally, I think they should be going separately. If you want to do couples therapy later, when you both have more of a grasp of what's going on with you, that's different. But at the start, please go separately and don't go to therapy on the same days. If someone's going on a Monday, you go on a Thursday. Don't both go on a Monday and
Yeah.
then come at home and look at each other like I'm mentally and emotionally ruined and exhausted because of you. And then you're fighting, right? So
Yeah.
give each other that grace that, okay, if they have therapy today, they're going to come home, want to eat dinner, and go straight to bed. They're not going to want to talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
I need another hour of explanation or what happened, what was said. Give each other that grace and respect. And then give them a few days, and then the next person goes off to therapy.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that could be quite a loving process because if you've been, you know exactly what it's like, and you show that empathy to your partner.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
People,
think it's important to go separately.
oh yeah, I totally agree with that. And so many people are like, what? What? Why do they have couples therapy then? I was like, listen, guys, don't forget we live in a world that has been made to try and make money out of you.
Mm.
Stay woke. Yes, we've got things to help us, but like you said, and you know what? I've been telling a couple of people this recently. The main reason I haven't got registered as a therapist or a counselor is because of the red tape. I'm not interested in the red tape.
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell my clients the truth, the raw truth. I want you to be coaching with me maximum 6 to 9 months and then off you go. You're flying like a bird. I want you to ring me and say, you know what, bitch, I don't even need you.
Yeah, but this is what I tell my clients as well. I always say to them, like, look, we'll start out, we'll do maybe we'll see each other once a week, but then we'll go to maybe say once every 2 weeks, and then they'll come you don't even need me anymore because you like
But with therapy, you just go there and ruminate and then you
yeah,
marinate in your issues. And like you said, if you don't get a good therapist, they're not giving you the back and forth. They're not challenging you. They're just sitting back, nodding their head for an hour, and then you're in therapy for 8 years.
yeah.
2 steps forward. What's the point of that?
No, yeah, it's not, and that's why I just felt like it just wasn't beneficial for me. So that's why it kind of frustrated me. Okay, I didn't want to go in the first place. Now I've gone,
Yeah,
and it's not helping me. So why am I even here?
fact.
And then when stuff got really bad, I was like, okay, yeah, like I need to go. Um, and it, you know what, it wasn't until I started paying like stupid money did I see a difference, or did I
Yeah,
see like the quality of the therapy that I was receiving.
yeah,
So first I was like, yeah, I'll pay this much. I don't want to pay too much. And now I'm like, yeah, I'll pay this to go. I'll pay
yeah.
it to go.
Right. You don't realize the value of it at the start. You're like, what? I'm not paying that. Like, I've had, so I've got quite a few friends in this space. Um, they worked on Islam channel and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And they always have a go at me about my prices. They're like, you can't charge that. And I'm like, because I I
But it
want
was charged more or less.
I charge really low fees.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
I know people are like, what the hell?
yeah.
Like, oh, it gives off a cheap vibe. Well, actually, if you've seen my TikTok and you see that there's value there, the people I'm trying to help are not people that have loads of money.
Mm.
They can't afford 60, £70 a week. And what happens to them then? They don't get healing.
Oh, I hear that. I hear that.
And everyone has their own thing, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own direction. And I don't judge people that charge whatever they charge. But I've had multiple one-to-one conversations with just me and Allah, and I'm like, what should I do? And every time I've left it to Allah, my instinct always brings me back to leaving it as affordable. Because it's the people that are unseen. It's the people in the council houses. It's the people that are really struggling in their marriage, that barely have a grasp on English because they came to the country 15 years ago and their husband didn't like let them go out into the world to get integrated. Those are the people that I'm trying to help. But I
Yeah,
agree with you when it comes to certain types, especially trauma therapy, addiction therapy. Guys, put your hand in your pocket and pay the professionals.
100%. 100%.
Please. Like, I'm here to talk through things and push you along. But when it comes to unraveling your trauma, it's probably the best investment I ever made. Like when I calculated how much I spent over 4.5 years, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel a bit sick.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But that's life changing. Like it's life. It's money that's gone like for a good cause. Like it depends. Like it's the things that you value. You
Yeah,
value like I don't know how much you spent, but someone will be like, why would I spend that now? I could have bought a new car.
yeah. Well,
Do you know what I
you
mean?
depressed as shit in your new car, so good luck with that.
Yeah, but then they'll probably say to you, well, I can cry in a Ferrari.
Oh yeah, I've had that. Oh yeah, yeah, we know who said that.
So
Interesting because I feel like people like me and you have already said those kind of things. We said that, we lived it, it didn't work out. We'd had to do a full circle and come back.
yeah, I think that like I said, like it will change your perspective. There's so much more to life. Like once you start processing and healing and going through this stuff and like like I said before, like you'll be a whole different person. I was talking to my therapist about it, and he said to me, like, you'll never be the same again. He said you literally have to, he said you've come to me, but you're gonna gut yourself, and then you can't be crying over who that person was because you can't go back to that.
Yeah, they're dead.
That's it. Like
Yeah.
you'll never be that person ever again. And it's a humbling experience as well. Like you realize like crap, like is this how I've been like walking through life?
So considering the amount of shame we have, excuse me, in our community in regards to therapy for men,
Mm.
I would go as far as to say that guys, go in secret. Don't tell anyone. Just go. It doesn't have to be a big song and dance. It doesn't have to be, I'm telling so and so, because the shame of it, men have very delicate egos and them they don't want the thought of going as embarrassing enough, let alone telling other people. Go, it doesn't have to, you don't have to make a big song and dance about it.
But as like a South Asian Muslim man who's gone to therapy and now obviously in the profession of counseling myself, like it's like there is no shame. Like I that's the one thing I'd advise like any brothers who are looking for advice, trying to get some help. There is no shame in it. Like that you don't have to go to therapy because you're crazy. We will have trauma, we will have wounds, like
Yes.
generational trauma that we've gone through and holding on to, and we've seen how our parent, like our dad, might have treated our mum, or the way like you see other relationships and you think, oh, I have to be the same. No, you don't. Like you can break that chain, and there's honestly there's no shame in it, and there's no harm in it, but it's it's hard work and it's painful. It does hurt, and it's not about just like sitting in it and crying about it. No, it's about okay, this happened. Let's cry about it. Let's work through it, and let's come out on the other side in a different way.
Actually, like therapy is quite masculine on its own because you're exploring, you're figuring out, you're strategizing, you know.
But when you're told to shut up and get on with things, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, don't complain, don't cry, it becomes feminine, right?
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? That's the saddest part of it, that men don't even realize how feminized they're becoming by avoiding these issues because it makes you emotionally unstable. And that's a female trait.
So what being
Emotionally unstable.
It's a female trait.
It's a female trait. We, you know, I find it ironic that now everyone's going on and on about the four, cycles that women go through in a month, and that men basically have a 24-hour cycle. So in 24 hours, your hormonal levels and whatever, they're the same. So you get the same pattern every single day.
Yeah.
We have 4 different patterns in a month, and it changes every week.
Wow.
And there's that menstruation period.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the luteal phase where you're like back up into action and you're all ready to go and you're like, whoa, let's do it. And then a week of that goes by and then you're into ovulation.
Mm.
And then you're back to menstruation again. So we're constantly on a flow like this.
Yeah.
So when we see men that are equally as flowy as us with their emotions and then don't know what to do with them, it's really hard to respect a man like that, because nature in our fitra, we're looking at you to be that stable one. And here's where it gets all messed up, because men are like, I've been told to be a certain way and I'm doing my version of being strong. And do you know what I mean? Like they're following.
Yeah, no, I
reality.
But I think also like, if we look at like Muslim men as well, I think what they forget is that like the Prophet, peace be upon him, like when he went through some of his hardest times, like he ran to his wife and was telling her, I just need a cuddle, like, and crying to her about what he was going through. And like if you can't pick and choose when you want to be like the Prophet or you want to be like the Sahaba or when you want to bring like if you want to, like, Pakistani culture might say don't show love and affection to your wife. This man stops an army for a piece of jewelry. Like,
Yeah.
you don't pick and,
Yeah, facts.
don't pick and choose. Like, if you're gonna choose culture, choose culture. But then don't say like, oh, I can't be this, I can't be that. When the man that you're supposed to be looking up to did all of that.
And that's very interesting you say that. I would like to say that women, that message to our women as well. We can't pick and choose. And I know it's hard, but we can't do everything because we're not the Sahabiyat, subhanAllah. Like they were specifically, chosen human beings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
that we need to do that as well. We can't say, well, he should have this and he should have that, and then we don't even have 5 ounces of femininity to rub together. Like if we want men to be masculine, we have to behave in a feminine way to bring that out of them.
but see, I think that also comes through like a level of trust. Like you have to trust him enough to be able to fall into your feminine.
Facts.
Because you're not going to be able to not worry about things or not stress about things if you can't see that things are being taken care of.
Because if she's not acting feminine, he can't bring his masculine out. So we're all just fighting with each other and not really getting anywhere.
And I think that's what we're trying to stop. We're just trying to stop the fight.
Yeah, we're trying to stop the fight. Like
when I made that video, because I had so many like sisters comment and say like I wish I never got married, and then like a lot of brothers had commented saying like, yeah, but women are like they're just filing for khula and all this kind of stuff, and we have it worse. It's like I don't want to start a fight. I'm just trying to raise some sort of awareness about what's going on. But
we live in a day and age now where narcissistic culture is like really promoted, where it's all me, 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 me.
yeah.
And I truly believe, like, when you get to your mid-30s, it does do something to your brain and you start changing. And you start realizing that the true essence and meaning of love is a giving action.
Mm-hmm.
Have enough self-respect and balanced with your giving nature, you'll have the discernment to not give in bad places. Whereas when you're younger, you just give anywhere, hoping for the best result. And then you get bitter and then wonder why it's not working out.
Yeah.
So we need to have more empathy for each other, because right now, I mean, even on my page, men are like, well, we have it hard too. And all the women just dive on, like, oh, stop being such a girl. You, I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
the amount of like I said, like men, like that said, like men aren't men anymore, and it's just like okay. But then someone like women were responding to that saying, yeah, but women aren't women anymore. Just like whoa, like okay,
Yeah. This is why it's chicken egg. Like, we need to take our own responsibility rather than keep pointing our fingers outside, because we're pointing our fingers outside because we're upset that, we don't have that, or we wish we had something. And I'm like, guys, did you miss the memo? We're not in Jannah.
mm. But this is what I mean when it comes to like the sense of like accountability, like people say, oh, like it takes two to tango, like and all this sort of stuff. But you have to take about like you have to take accountability for the part that you play in your outcomes. Like
That,
if you're showing up to the house every day, you're coming from work, and I can't talk on the sister's experience, right? I can only I can call out the brothers and say whatever to them. But if you're going to the house every day after work and you're not happy or smiling or whatever, like it changes things. Like
yeah,
if you walked in the house with like a smile on your face, it'd be different. Like
yeah, really.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm not saying like, but if on the flip side, if you come home and greet with a smile, it also would change things as well, right?
It's all in the subtleties and we don't get it. Like, we're trying to do the big jobs, but we forget the little jobs. And that's just showing each other some kindness and compassion. But at the same time, we have to be responsible as well, because if somebody's showing us compassion and we're just taking that compassion and doing nothing with it, then you start becoming an irresponsible adult. And that's when people are going to start resenting you and hating you. And then it does lead to divorces, holla, fusks. Um, and I don't really have much of a comment about the divorce rates. I just think if people need to get divorced, they should, and society shouldn't be overburdening them. But at the same time, it's become frivolous. It's easy to get married. It, Islam has already made getting married easy, right?
Mm.
But we've taken it to another level and we've put really stupid parameters on it with house, car. They can barely afford to pay their rent, but they've hired a Lamborghini for the wedding day. Someone help me with that logic, because
Mhm.
it ain't logicking.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So they're aiming for the wrong things, not really
Yeah.
traditionally what a marriage should be.
But the marriage is just a day, right? That's like that's just a day. Like you'll see like everyone celebrate and this and that. But then you gotta go and you gotta spend the rest of your life with that person. You haven't lived with that person. So you gotta figure out that stuff. You gotta like you pick up their habits, learn about their
Yeah,
habits.
we'll do it. We'll do it. And then
But
you
you're
realize,
not
like,
willing to do the work, then you have to do it because whenever you get triggered by something that the other person's done, like you have to understand why that's triggering for you. What's coming up for you. But if you're not ready to deal with that and have them difficult conversations, it's going to be very hard for a marriage to work in that sense.
it's true. We put a lot of fantasy over it, and we're just like, oh, it'll work out, it'll be fine, but we don't really know how. And then we realize later that actually how they deal with conflict, if that doesn't mix with the way you deal with it, if you deal with it at all, you're going to be in a house of misery.
And if, for example, this person has an addiction prior to marriage, or they deal and that's how they deal with conflict, that's going to impact your marriage massively.
Big time. And they're probably hiding it from you as well. So, when I think when we enter marriage, we think, I know this person and they just want to be with me. You don't know them. You do not know them. News flash. You could be dating for 5 years. You do not know that person. I'm sorry. You know the basic fundamentals of how they operate. You know what you like about them,
Hmm.
that they like you. You know that you enjoy each other's company, and that's it.
Hmm.
Like, because somebody can talk about their past experiences as much as they want. The proof's in the pudding. When it actually hits the fan and how that person responds, that's who you're dealing with.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
You're dealing with that person who has just been hit with pressure, and that's them coming out. So you can't just duck away. Your commitment to this marriage was, I commit to show my transparency and to not judge when the other person is transparent in front of me.
Mhm.
So there's going to be so much you uncover that you don't like. And that's why I wanted to focus this chat on therapy.
Mhm.
Because if you learn to see the things about you that you're like, oh, I don't like that about myself, well, why do I do that?
But how many people are willing to do that? That's the thing. That's
But for me, that's the key if you want to get married, because
yeah.
you will have the understanding of the effort self-reflection takes.
Yeah, but I get that. And like that's very true. But if every time you get stressed you go smoke a cigarette, what there is no growth there. There's no you're just suppressing.
Now, I'm quite sensitive on this because I think some people do have certain habits that they have to allow them to cope. I'm not saying addictions, I'm talking about habits,
Okay.
right? Now, if you need to do something in order to get yourself into a place that you're ready to tackle this issue,
Hmm.
now I'm not talking about drugs and alcohol, by the way, guys, because that is just not the way to deal with it. You're coming out of your inhibition. So I'm not talking about that.
Just to jump in very quickly,
Mm.
so what I'm saying is that if you like you said, if you need to get yourself in a place to deal with the issue, what I'm saying is if you just go and do whatever you need to do and don't deal with the issue.
Yeah. That's when you're
Yeah.
just escaping. You're basically a professional escape artist.
Yeah. But please carry on with what you were gonna say.
So basically, that level of like understanding and self-reflection can also come from therapy because they go hand in hand, right? You might not even know that habit you're doing to cope is a bad habit. You,
Hmm.
well, what's wrong with going out to have a fag to chill out? Like, looking at you like an alien, like, bruv, why are you making this into such a big deal? It's only when you go into the exploration you realize, when did I have my first fag and what was the reason for it? Who gave it to me? In what circumstances do I run to it? It's all of that, and then you're living a present life. I think that's what therapy does for you. It brings you in the present moment. Otherwise, you're living in your subconscious weird world.
That's it. Yeah, it brings you to that sense of awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
You'll start you'll start thinking about every decision that you make.
Mm.
Any behavior that's out of character, you'll be like, well, that's not me.
What am I doing?
Yeah, it's true.
And even the behavior that used to make you feel uncomfortable, but you do it anyway out of habit, you're like, actually, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
Who taught me to deal with things like this? I had that as well. Like I remember when we've got a younger sister. She's about 20 years younger than me, so it was a real like learning curve
Wow.
having her come into our lives. And she was
You
having.
the oldest?
I'm the eldest, yeah.
Oh, okay. But how many siblings have you got in between?
So I've got one sister in between. I've got a brother and sister on my dad's side, and then I've got the three sisters with mum.
Oh, okay.
So I'm 35. My middle sister's 32, going to be 33, and then we've got a 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's been a real eye
That's
opener for me.
yeah, that's crazy. That's a massive age gap, isn't it?
It's huge, and I think
Yeah.
it's really helped me along my journey because I've been able to almost see myself grow up again.
Mm.
It's been really eye-opening, and my mum has changed every single method. She's changed all of her ways because of the communication we had, and I'm healing through watching my sister grow up.
That's
Because
what I'd like to ask you. Like, do you feel like you're healing parts of yourself?
so just a quick overview. Me and my mum were estranged for a few years. We did not get on. We were each other's pretty much worst enemy. We hated each other. That's just how it is. We couldn't even be in the same room. We would just all the time.
Wow.
And then a moment came, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just put it in my mind. He was like, go to your mother. And I was like, yeah, but we don't like each other. But it was just this voice, go to your mother. It was really like, like
Oh,
it's like Zeus, go to your mother. And I was like, oh my God. So I just went. And that was around the same time I decided to go to therapy. So that whole 4 years of therapy, I did my therapy session and I went home to my mom and gave her the same therapy session that I just had.
wow.
And we did that for 3 or 4 years. So my mother's changed, not only with us, but in the way she deals with Anaya, all came from this bridging the generational gap.
And that's fantastic.
Alhamdulillah.
Like you've changed your mum's perspective, you've changed your younger sister's trajectory, and you've changed the trajectory of your younger sister's children now. And your children.
Inshallah. That's why when you said earlier about it takes one person, Allah chooses them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We're not walking around like, oh, hi, I'm going to be the one who, who are you? Allah picks us out and
Oh, it's true.
it's some like cozy, floaty journey. No, it's not. Can you imagine being estranged for a minimum of 4 years and then trying to therapy each other?
Yeah, that's
All of that animosity through all of that defensiveness
because you got to change that person's whole perspective on things.
and my own.
Yeah.
I was learning as well. It's not as if I did my therapy and then I came. I did it at the same time. So, yes, our brains were fried. I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie to you. We were just like, oh my God. But Alhamdulillah. So, basically, what I was trying to get at is when it comes to subconscious behavior, I
Mm.
realized when my sister became a teenager, I was dealing with her how my mum used to deal with me, even though I know it was wrong.
Oh, so you were still trying to carry
Consciously
on,
better.
carry on the generational trauma, even though you tried to change it. Wow.
Because subconsciously it was wired in so deeply.
Yeah.
It's only when I acted it out and I was like, whoa, what are you doing? That's exactly the behavior that you hated
Yeah.
for a child. And I don't get why are you repeating this? And that's when I got into more interested in neuroplasticity and you know the involvement and the changing of the pathways in your mind. Because I realized all these pathways were given to me like a freaking, I didn't want this.
All behaviors are learned behaviors.
So there's a huge crater between knowing and doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was literally falling in that middle gap.
But that's the thing, it's about reflection, right? It's about self-reflecting, being aware. And the fact when people are aware, that's majority of the work pretty much done. Like the fact that you're aware, you're a step ahead of so many other people.
Yeah,
You know,
alhamdulillah.
when you're aware, you are so far ahead.
And then people that are unaware are so evident to you. They're like these big flashing red lights, but you can see that they're not doing any of that reflection.
Yeah, I don't know if so there's this show called Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my wife was watching an episode, she's like, watch it. Like just like watch an episode. And so we watched it, and there was just one guy on there in particular, and he was just talking about how much he just wanted to be loved. He needed to be trusted. He wanted to be loved. He just like that's all he kept saying.
Me, 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 me,
And I
me.
was saying like someone has hurt this man. Like if you saw the way he was acting and talking, he was just like a child. And someone has hurt him, but is he ready to, like open that up?
Does he even know that?
Exactly. Does he even realize what he's saying and what he's doing?
Subhanallah. And
It's
this is the one thing I will say, guys, if you're going to take anything from this episode, take that point that when you're not healed, your unhealed situation is all over you. You stink of it. You literally reek of it.
but I think you won't, like, other people around you will realize it, that there's something going on. You might not realize it yourself. You might be in the depths of it. You might be going through something you don't want to address, something you don't want to talk about. You might not even feel like you're going through anything. You're probably going to laugh. You built a routine. You got a habit.
Oh, that's why I say you don't have to have had a trauma or a reason to go to therapy. Just go.
But
Just,
there probably is something that needs to be dealt with. 9 times out of 10, there is something that is there and deep rooted, and I think that's like you said earlier. You have to get to the root, because if you don't get to the root and rip it out, I always talk about it being like Jenga. So you have like the block at the bottom, which is like the root, and then on top of that, you've got like the rejections that you might have had through life and the traumas and all this kind of stuff. And then someone will ask you, "Oh, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." Or, "Oh, do you know what? I'm just angry today because work annoyed me." "Okay, so we'll take off like one of the Jenga blocks." "Oh, I'm just angry because I didn't eat." "Okay, we'll take off another one." But that bottom one could be rooted in rejection. Until you swipe that out, the other blocks are just going to keep on building on top of it.
yeah, facts, facts. I've always used the example of Buckaroo.
Hmm.
Like, keep adding, you go for it. But at some point, boom,
Yeah.
it's gonna take that one thing and it just snaps you.
And it won't even, but you'll think it's that one thing, but it's just a build up of everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
Yeah.
that's you need a coach or a therapist to support you through this journey because you are gonna think a lot of things are obvious and they're not.
Mm.
You need someone that is separate from your life, that doesn't have any stakes in your healing.
Yeah.
There's no skin off my nose whether you do it or not do it. I'm a neutral person that can build up that rapport with you because people go to like 3 therapy sessions and like, yeah, yeah, I'm sorted. Now, the first 5 sessions is the therapist getting to know you,
Mm.
the way you are, what happened, when it happened. They are creating this picture. They're drawing a diagram with connections in the background. And when you give them that and you really invest with your therapist, they will be able to go, well, actually, do you remember when we spoke before? You said you do this. It's interesting because you've done that again here today. And you're like, inside, you're like, go away, I hate you. But actually, you're like, thanks for that because I didn't notice it.
Yeah. And it's even better like when they come to the realization themselves. Like, say if they use like a particular word that someone might have been, I don't know, say like frustrated with them when they were younger or angry, and they feel a certain way about something, and you ask them, and they're gonna say that word, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm angry and I'm frustrated." Why is that? See what you just did there? You used that same word. Why? Like it.
Yeah. It's so subtle, but so powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Because again, and it, like, one of my clients was talking to him recently, and he was saying to me that like we tend to go off on like tangents, but he said, "I love it because it always comes back to the same thing." And it is, everything just tends to be around one sort of root cause.
Facts. I
And
remember in my marriage, I used to have these panic attacks when I was going on long drives.
mm,
And I'd always had panic attacks. I remember the first time I was about 16 and I had one and I didn't realize what it was. And the local shop people had to call an ambulance because I literally had collapsed.
oh
So
wow.
for me, panic attacks were like this normal thing. It became a part of my life. And I remember like always ringing my ex-husband, like when I was going to the airport for work, trip or something, like I would just become so overwhelmed. And it was an out of body experience because I'd tell my brain, like, this is silly. You don't need to be like this, but my body would do its own thing.
Wow.
And it was only when I deep dived into therapy I'm not going to share the root cause here because this isn't about me, but essentially, let's just say that the root cause that was discovered after that was a memory I had suppressed as a child.
Wow.
I didn't even make that in my logical mind didn't connect those two things together.
How old were you at the time of the memory?
10.
10. So one thing that like I always talk to like my clients about is when they talk to me about something that they might be feeling, always ask them, when was the first time you felt that? And the thing is, you were probably stuck there and didn't realize that you were stuck at the age of 10.
Right. Because you're physically moving and you're physically growing. So you think that's moving forward.
Yeah.
My subconscious mind was stuck at 10 to 12.
Yeah. And you wouldn't. And how old were you at the time you were having these panic attacks?
I had them all the way up until I was about 27, 28.
Because as a 27-year-old, would you let a 10-year-old make decisions for you?
But she sure as hell was. ruling my whole
Yeah.
life.
When I went through mine and I looked at when I went through my addiction and when I went through whatever I got through, when I asked myself how old I was 8 years old. And I was a 29, 30-year-old man. And it was like, yeah, it makes sense. An 8-year-old has been running my life. And that's why this is where I'm at. It
So powerful, isn't it?
is. It is.
And guys, this short burst of realization and feelings of embarrassment and these feelings are worth it at the end because you can look in the mirror and you know who you're looking at back at you. Whereas when you're not in a good place, you look in the mirror and you're like, who is that?
No, it's so true. It's so true. You'll start to love yourself again. And like that's a key thing. Like I always used to say that, like you can love other people if you can't love yourself, but reality is you can't pour from an empty cup.
Facts.
You can't.
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be something in there. And
Yeah.
it's selflessly selfish.
Yeah.
You have to look after yourself. And that doesn't mean neglecting others. It means investing appropriately in your own faculties so that things that come out of your mouth or you are giving off your energy and your actions are not damaging other people that are involved in your circle. That's the level of personal responsibility we need to take, guys.
No, we do. And it's a case of having emotional intelligence as well, knowing what to say when and maybe certain subjects not to bring up.
Don't you think?
Pardon?
Therapy helps build that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that
Definitely.
level of awareness happens. But um we're coming to the end of our conversation now. I mean, I know we could just go on for hours and hours.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you another question, like, but I just
Can actually go on, ask.
because I was gonna ask you, like, do you think that it's much easier for because obviously like when we talk about men not seeking help and not going to therapy, all this kind of stuff, like, yeah, we know it's difficult. Would you say that it's a lot easier for sisters to come and ask for that help or get the help? Or do you think there's also a bit of a stigma there? Because if you look at our culture, especially Pakistani culture, there's a lot of judgment. Like men judge men, women judge women, and the other way around as well. But do you feel like maybe some sisters are feeling like I can't go seek help because, especially if the person's South Asian, like they're just going to judge me?
Yeah. I think there's a misconception around women because women love to talk. Um, so people just assume that they must all be in therapy. Now, our ability to talk and discuss is more healing for us without a doubt. But I think a lot of South Asian women think, what's the point of going to therapy? What is therapy going to do for me? Is therapy going to change my husband? Is therapy going to take all the beatings that I had away? Is therapy going to make me financially secure? Like, what benefit is there of therapy?
Mm.
What am I going to get out of it that's right here, right now? Because I think a lot of South Asian women have never seen or experienced being mentally stable.
Wow.
So they don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
How can you aim for something you've never even seen? So they
That's deep. Yeah, that's deep. Wow.
so they don't know what they're looking for. And that's why I get messages, oh sis, what did you do to get like this? And I'm like, honey, it's not rocket science. It wasn't this special theory that I came up with. It wasn't. It was the work that you think is pointless is what I did.
Yeah.
And yeah, there'll be therapists that judge you, but boo freaking who? The whole world is here to judge you. Go and find the right therapist for you. Don't stop in your tracks because, oh, I spoke to this one person and I didn't like them. Well, clearly your healing is not a priority then, is it? Because the first hurdle, you shunned it away. So I think women, and I'm going to be honest because I always am, I think women have no clue of what being stable and healthy is like. I don't think Asian women know.
Wow.
It's sad, really, but
Yeah.
that's why me and you are here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just like for me, it's I'd want to encourage people to go and get the help, the trouble that I don't know, like there's things that have gone on and people might not want to talk about them, but there's always like an open space to be able to open up. And I feel like as brothers, we need to make more space for our brothers.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's why I wanted to have this chat with you because, people get all sorts of impressions from people online. I get so many men that, oh, you just can't stand men, can you? I'm like, no, I think men are extremely valuable to our society, actually. And that's why I wanted to do this because it's like, no, I realize the importance of men. I realize how much they need from us we're not able to give.
Yeah.
On that note, can you give a little bit of a summary of where any potential male clients can find you?
Yeah, so TikTok, Instagram, the handle is Apna Coach _ and um also just drop me an email. So Umar at apnacoach.co.uk.
Okay, and just guys, it's APNA coach.
It is. It
Okay,
is.
just in case somebody's going to bring up their own little. But
Yeah,
yeah, please do get in touch. I know majority of the time it's women that tend to watch my content, but a lot of these women are married. A lot of these women have sons. So if you feel like they need that kind of support with somebody who's culturally sensitive as well, this is the brother to go to. And I wouldn't have him on my podcast if I genuinely didn't believe that he was going to be a huge asset to our community and society, inshallah ta'ala.
inshallah. I really appreciate that. Like I do the work I do because I like I said before, I went through stuff and I feel like there wasn't enough support out there. So you have to be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. There isn't. There isn't. And that's why you stick out the way you do. So please keep going because our men need somewhere to go and they don't always find that safe space with
Yeah.
themselves. You
No,
know,
no, I agree. I agree. And yeah, it's a tough journey, but you have to be willing. You have to be willing to do it. There has to be a willingness to wanna be not even for everybody else, like just for yourself to start with, because you have to be there. First of all, you have to be there for you before you can be there for anyone else.
yeah, true. And I think that's what people are doing. They're being there for everyone else whilst they're depleted and they're not giving the best version of themselves. They're not doing it with boundaries and self-respect. And then they wonder why the feedback coming back is not appreciative.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think maybe there's like a misconception of boundaries as well. I think people might think that boundaries are like shouting and screaming and going crazy when it's not like that. It's
Boundaries
just
could be a completely silent thing. You don't, you don't have to go and big do hoo-has around it. So that's quite interesting, actually. So hopefully,
Firm but fair. I think like you can set boundaries in a very firm but respectful way with people. I think that's the key thing. I think people might see.
when we catch up again, I'd like to explore that a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's techniques and ways to set your boundaries that Asian people are not taught. Actually, that would be a really good one. Me and brother here are going to teach you how to implement some really serious boundaries in a respectful manner.
Yes, sounds good.
And to hold your ground when you do it. Oh, that's going to be a spicy one. Yeah, it's going to be good because
It's going to be good.
Scenarios, not just couples, in-laws, uncles, parents, aunties, your boss.
Yeah, workplace. Oh, the workplace is a big one. Yeah.
And if you've not been taught at home how to do boundaries, you're not going to know how to do it at work. That's for sure. So yeah, okay. If you're up for that, let's do that the next time and some practical skills in life.
Yes, no, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I really, really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, me too. I think there's so much for us to unravel that we could pre-plan our own series. So let's just go ahead and do that. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode where we'll discuss boundaries and maybe a little bit more about male and female perspective. Maybe we can get in a little bit of a debate with each other as well.
Let's see how it goes, inshallah.
We're going to end up with a male and female. Like
I said, I don't want to cause a fight. Just say,
well,
I don't want to cause a fight.
You can take the girl out of the road, but you can't take the road out of the girl. Well, thank you, brother, and hopefully I'll catch you next time.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Allah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.